as you settle comfortably into a position that supports your body fully. Whether seated or lying down, allow your eyes to close gently and take a long, slow breath in, filling your lungs completely, and then exhale fully, releasing any tension you may be holding. Let each breath guide you into a deeper state of relaxation, a space where your mind can open and your body can feel supported and safe. Notice how your body rests against the surface beneath you, the gentle contact of your skin, the way your muscles allow gravity to do its work, and the natural rhythm of your heartbeat. As you tune into these sensations, bring your awareness to the subtle interplay of your body and mind, noticing that every sensation, thought, and emotion forms a network, a web of experience that influences your perception of pain. Today, we begin the process of mapping those patterns, exploring the habitual loops that maintain or amplify discomfort, so that insight can precede transformation. Allow yourself to become curious, observing without judgment, letting the mind wander gently through the landscape of your body and thoughts. Begin by recalling the areas where you have felt discomfort or pain most often. Perhaps it is in the back, shoulders, neck, joints, or other regions. Allow these memories to come into your awareness and notice how the body reacts as you bring attention to them. Does the breath tighten? Do muscles tense? Do thoughts arise, perhaps anticipating the pain or reacting with frustration or worry? Simply notice these responses, labeling them silently in your mind. Tension, anticipation, frustration, and allow each label to create distance, transforming observation into insight. Imagine now that your body and mind are like a landscape, and you are tracing the pathways that pain tends to follow. Notice the physical sensations, the subtle postures, the habitual holding or guarding that your body enacts automatically. See the mental pathways that accompany them, the repetitive thoughts, worries, or fears that often loop alongside discomfort. Observe emotional patterns as well, perhaps irritation, anxiety, or sadness that surface when pain becomes prominent. As you map these patterns, you are not trying to eliminate them. Instead, you are creating awareness, understanding how these loops reinforce one another, and discovering the connections between body, mind, and emotion. Bring your attention to a recent episode of pain. Visualize it in as much detail as possible, noticing the exact location, intensity, and quality of the sensation. Observe the posture your body took, the way your muscles tightened, the way your breathing changed. Then notice the thoughts that accompanied it, perhaps judgment, worry, or self-criticism, and the emotions that arose. And see how these elements interact like a chain, each reinforcing the other. Recognize that these loops are unconscious patterns, formed over time as a way for your nervous system to protect you, even if they now maintain discomfort unnecessarily. With gentle curiosity, allow yourself to trace these patterns, seeing them not as faults, but as information. Every thought, every tension, every emotional reaction is a signal, a clue to how your mind and body have learned to respond to discomfort. Notice how identifying these patterns begins to create a sense of agency, a realization that you can observe without automatically reacting. That insight is the first step toward transformation. Imagine now that you are drawing a mental map of these loops. You might see lines connecting thoughts to emotions, muscles to reactions, sensations to memories. Notice where the loops are tight, where they are repetitive, and where there is flexibility or space. With each observation, you are creating a clearer understanding of how your nervous system responds to pain, and how these responses may amplify or prolong discomfort. Allow yourself to notice any habitual tension in the body, areas that contract in response to pain or stress. Breathe into these areas, imagining awareness as a gentle, warm light, softening tight muscles, loosening rigidity, and creating space for new patterns to emerge. Notice how simply observing tension can begin to reduce its intensity, how conscious attention can interrupt the habitual loop, giving you choice rather than automatic reaction. Now bring attention to your thoughts, the mental patterns that often accompany pain. Perhaps you notice worry, self-criticism, catastrophizing, or anticipation. Observe these thoughts as if from a distance, seeing them as repetitive loops that your mind engages automatically. Notice how they influence your body, perhaps causing muscles to tighten, your breathing to become shallow, or sensations to feel more intense. Recognizing these loops is empowering, because awareness is the first step in transforming them. Imagine now a soft, gentle space opening around each thought or sensation, a space that allows observation without entanglement. Visualize each loop as a circle, a cycle, and notice that by observing it, you can begin to step outside of it, interrupting the automatic response and creating mental freedom. Allow yourself to notice the emotions that accompany pain, frustration, irritation, sadness, or fear. Observe them with gentle curiosity, noting how they emerge, peak, and fade, and how they are connected to both your physical sensations and your thoughts. Feel the empowering sense that by mapping these emotional responses, you are gaining insight into your habitual reactions, learning where the loops exist and how they influence your experience. Now, bring all of this together, the sensations, the thoughts, the emotions, and notice how they interact, creating the full experience of pain. Imagine that you are holding a mental diagram, seeing the connections, the triggers, the feedback loops. Perhaps a tensing muscle leads to a thought of worry, which amplifies the sensation, which triggers more tension, and so on. Simply observe this without trying to fix it yet, appreciating the clarity that comes from seeing patterns instead of being trapped in them. Begin to notice small opportunities for intervention, places where a gentle breath, a subtle relaxation of a muscle, or a shift in perspective could break the loop. Even the act of noticing is an intervention, planting the seeds for change, because awareness alone begins to weaken automatic responses and create space for conscious choice. Imagine now a wave of calm moving through your nervous system, softening habitual tension and creating openness for insight. With each breath, feel your capacity to notice without reacting grow stronger. Your awareness is like a gentle light illuminating pathways that were previously unconscious, making the hidden patterns of your mind and body visible. Allow yourself to explore these patterns in a spirit of curiosity, as a researcher might examine a map, without judgment or pressure. Notice any patterns related to movement, posture, or activity. Perhaps certain positions, tasks, or daily routines tend to trigger tension or discomfort. Observe these without labeling them as good or bad, simply noticing the relationship between actions and sensations, and how your body and mind respond automatically. Now notice patterns in your environment and context. Perhaps pain tends to amplify during stress, after certain activities, or in response to particular thoughts. Recognize that these environmental and contextual patterns are part of the web you are mapping, and that insight into them allows you to predict, anticipate, and choose responses more effectively. Bring attention back to your body, sensing areas of tension or discomfort, and imagine sending awareness and gentle acceptance into these regions. Feel your nervous system softening, your breath deepening, your muscles relaxing. Notice that by observing patterns without judgment, you are beginning to reduce reactivity, creating both mental and physical space for change. Imagine now a mental overlay appearing on your map, highlighting areas where loops tend to reinforce pain. Visualize these patterns clearly, noting where thought, emotion, and sensation interact. With this visualization, you gain an empowering perspective, seeing that the loops exist, but that they are not immutable. Awareness gives you the capacity to intervene, to choose responses that reduce amplification of discomfort. Notice any habitual avoidance or protective behaviors, areas where the body braces